So this is a very important question. How do you think he would advocate? How would Javed Abdi advocate given the current circumstances? Because many dub the mainstream media to be non-existent, right? So it's become quite difficult to advocate. So, firstly, your thoughts on mainstream media, and secondly, how do you think Javed Abdi would have reacted to this coming from the journalism background and the community?
Well, I think Javed would have excelled himself in his advocacy even today, even in today's mainstream journalism. I'll tell you why. Uh, Javed was a very natural communicator, and journalism is all about communication, whether it is in print or through the electronic media. And any good sound communicator will instinctively take to another communicator. I think this is something, that we probably do not appreciate enough about Javed's capacity, to influence people, in high places, to influence people in places that really matter, because we are we are we are engaged far more, with the campaigns that he led, with the results that he was able to achieve, with the number of people he was able to mobilize, with the hundreds of thousands of disabled people that he was able to influence. But it happens probably that we forget to see how he was able to communicate with, uh, being himself a professionally trained journalist, how he was able to, he had this innate capacity. I don't think that came only with his training as a journalist. I think he was a very natural communicator, uh, uh, just as he was a great campaigner. I don't think anybody taught him any lessons in, organizing campaigns. I think all of that came to him very naturally, and probably because of his, very of his very keen observance of his father's, very active role as a politician, and through his father, the number of politicians that he must have met and engaged across political party lines, right? So that would have, and he knew any number of journalists individually, personally, and they all responded very enthusiastically, uh, uh, whenever invitations were sent out from the disabled rights group or from NCPDP for coverage. And Javed also, I remember a very senior journalist telling me that he was so good with follow up. He would follow up on a particular event, or coverage after a particular event. He would follow up with the newspapers or television channels to see what next, what kind of follow up they were doing after they published one story, after they put out one story. So that was one. So I think, despite the milieu, that the prevailing milieu that we see in the mainstream media, I think Javed, through his sheer tenacity and personal respect, and the respect that he commanded in the profession, would have still managed to push push a lot of disability related stories through the print and electronic media. I'll say why this is so for yet another reason. Why, even in this milieu, Javed would have been successful is also because Javed was so scrupulous not to or rather scrupulous, to keep disability out of party political arena. He kept disability above party politics. He always projected disabilities as a larger uh, um, um, concern that was above party politics. So, although he had very strong political views, but at the same time he had maintained excellent contacts in different parties, and he was always careful to emphasize that disability should remain a non-party political issue. And here was this man keeping disabilities as a non-party political issues. And who was this man? This man was actually the one who actually politicized the domain of disabilities, politicized it in a very, I'm using the word politicized in a very complimentary way. You know, he gave disability a political edge that any serious social uh, question needs to be accorded. He made disabilities a political issue in the sense, in the manner that he organized disabled people as across various disabilities, that gave his campaign the numbers, that gave his campaigns the kind of visibility that they had, a very enviable kind of a profile that he brought to disabilities. Now, all he couldn't have done without actually making disabilities a very political issue. When he was talking about disabilities, the rights of disabled people under the Constitution, under different statutes, you know, he was very deliberately uh, uh, um, delving into the political domain, political terrain. So he was at one level politicizing disabilities, drawing disabilities away from the closet of any one or two impairments, drawing disability out of the closet of the charity sector uh, and bringing it into the mainstream political domain. And yet, the same man was careful, was responsible, I would say, to keep disabilities out of the party political uh, um, uh, differences, so that, you know, the issues, the challenges before the disabled people, the concerns before disabled people would not be uh, would not be uh, would not be subject to the vagaries of of the fluctuating political fortunes of one or the other political parties in this country. So therefore, I think that was the other reason. That is the second reason why he would have been able to succeed in continuing his campaigns, making his campaigns very effective even in these very difficult times. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Sure. So he kept disability non-partisan. I mean, he had a non-partisan approach, although he made disability political concern by, I think, uniting and having a cross-disability approach. And along with that, he shifted the discourse from charity to a rights-based one. So definitely, I think that would give a push, even in the current circumstances, to advocate for the rights of persons with disabilities.
Javed Abdi Foundation, JAF, which also stands for Journalism, Advocacy, and Fun. Please subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, like, comment, and share.